Welcome to the For Real Though Show, the podcast with the purpose for the people, you people. I am your host, Christopher Keith, and of course, we are brought to you by Queso What? And we're going to have some exciting news about Queso What and what they're doing. I can't let the cat out the bag yet, but they got some new exciting things going on. And if you're in the St. Louis area, it's going to be real nice and exciting for you. So we're going to make sure we catch you up on that, okay? All right. So before we get to today's subject matter, let's say what's going on in the news. Oh, well, Supreme Court is just acting a damn fool, especially Clarence. Clarence, I think he feels like this is his time to shine. So after all of that, sitting up under Antonin Scalia's ass for all these years, hardly saying anything. Now I think he thinks this is really his time to shine. Hey, let's roll back everything. Let's roll back gay rights. Let's roll back contraception. And I'm sitting there thinking like, well, Clarence, why don't we roll back miscegenation too? We roll that miscegenation back too, and maybe you and Jenny won't be able to stay together. You know what I'm saying? Because she is a white woman. And since we rolling back shit, let's just, you ain't gonna leave that part out. Oh, but we did get Ketanji Brown Jackson sworn in, so that's awesome. January 6th committee is on fire. Hope they keep doing what they're doing. Mary Garland, you're on the clock, still waiting on your ass to do something. I see you doing a little bit of here and there, snatching some phones and stuff, breaking in, a couple stings. I see you working, all right, so keep that up. Let's see, in the news and sports, free agency in the NBA. Where will Kyrie go? Well, Kyrie re-signed with the Nets. He opted in. And believe it or not, this is the time to have Kyrie. See, if you're going to have crazy ass Kyrie on your squad, this is the time to have him because he opted in. So it's 1 year deal, right? And he's going to be on his best behavior. I bet you he won't be missing all them games. Of course, he missed the games for COVID and all that because he didn't want to get that vaccine because he's smarter than everybody else. And then, but before that, I remember when he needed some personal time to take a mental break, but it just happened to be the same time as his birthday. You know what I'm saying? So he was all kicking it at the party and stuff. I saw you, Kyrie, all on the Instagram and shit, but he needed a mental break. But anyway, I don't expect that we'll have none of this shit going on, in 2022, 2023 season. So this is the time to have Curry. I don't care who he played for, whatever, right? This is the time to have him because he's going to be on his best behavior. He's going to be balling. That's what I suspect. If he don't get hurt, he's going to have an outstanding year. Kevin Durant wants out. He wants out, and then, he want to go to Miami or Phoenix, they say. And if I'm the Nets ownership, which I'm not, but if I was, I'd be like, yo, KD, look, we did all this shit your way, dog. We got the players you wanted. We got rid of Jarrett Allen. We got rid of Jarrett Allen for DeAndre fucking Jordan. Let that sink in. See, a lot of people don't remember that. They don't remember when you got rid of an all-star in Jarrett Allen, who's now balling out in Cleveland, for DeAndre Jordan, because that was your boy. You know what I'm saying? So I will be like this. I'll be like this. We got the coach you wanted, who never had any experience coaching, right? We did everything your way, Cat. We did it. We let you run practices. We let y'all do all that shit, So I felt like then we got swept in the first round by the Celtics. So my thing, if I'm management, if I'm ownership, hey man, look man, we got you for 4 more years, dog. You sat on that line. You help us get into this bullshit. You're gonna help us get out of this bullshit. Now, if I find that I got a good trade for you that helps my team, then I'll do it. Otherwise, Cat, I'll see you in September, dude. Be ready to hoop. Lace them up. Let's go. Right? That will be I'm all for player empowerment. I'm all for the labor, right? I'm a labor guy, right? But some of this shit just kind of getting out of hand. And the fact of the matter is, man, very rarely, very, very rarely are players able to determine, what's really best for the team. Sometimes, yes, in certain places. Most of the time, no. It worked out for the Lakers in the bubble. They got the championship. But otherwise, man, it just generally tends not to work out. You need Jordan. If Jordan would have won the championships he had, if he got all the people that he wanted Walter Davis. Read the Jordan rules, man. He wanted every motherfucker that went to North Carolina. I don't care how old or washed up they was, and he felt like they was gonna win. And Jerry Krause, for all his faults, he knew what the fucking squad needed, and he got them the pieces that they needed, right? So when it's time to go get Dennis Rodman, we go get Dennis Rodman. But, I'm not getting Walter Davis. I'm not getting some of these cats that you want to get because they're your boys, and they, fuck that. And the results are the results, right? So there always has to be some balance. And I know, with player, excuse me, say that 5 times, player empowerment, it can cut, I think that it's kind of coming to a part where, a lot of people, some teams, they just want the superstar, so they don't care. We got a superstar, it's all good. But if you really want to win, you want a first-class organization, then you need a first-class organization. You need guys in place to, work with the players, but then also be able to tell a player, no, I listen to you. I see where you're coming from. We're going to go this direction. Here's why. Trust us on this. Work with us on this. And if it don't work out, again, we may make some other moves and we'll always consult you. That's a good organization, right? Smart people at the top, making moves and everything. And again, always consulting with your star players, always been that way, always should be that way. So anyway, enough of that. That's what's going on in sports and in the news for the July weekend right about now. I don't celebrate the 4th of July. It's all about Juneteenth. You dig? Because we was not free in 1776. They wasn't thinking about us. But it's a paid day off. So I'll take it, right? I will take it. Any paid days off y'all got for me, I'll take it. Okay. If it's free, it's me. If it's free, I'll take 3. Well, all right. So getting on to today's subject, we are going to talk about apathy, complacency, and other spiritually foolish presumptions. Say it again. Apathy, complacency, and other spiritually foolish presumptions. So this is what brought me to this subject matter. So not that long ago, I went to church, right? I go to church sometimes. Yeah. So I went to church, and afterwards, I was on my way out. You know how people just kind of talking, to each other and stuff, So I'm kind of a fly on the wall. I'm just kind of observing, listening, waiting until, it's time to roll out. And I saw this older lady talking to this young couple. And apparently, the older lady knew the woman. She didn't know the man that well. But they were just talking, chopping it up. And the older woman said to the young lady, she was like, I talked to your husband, that's your husband, right? Yeah. Oh, that's a good man right there. I like what he working with. Matter of fact, you better make sure you take care of that right there. You take care of that man. You feel me? You take care of that man, okay? All right, daughter, And so she was like, she gave the answer where she didn't say yeah, she didn't say no. She said, well, if he ever left, he wasn't mine anyway. And so I was like, it got me to thinking, man, why would someone say an answer like that? But we were in church, right? So then it brought me to the fact that as Black people, we've always been a very spiritual, spiritual people, right? And we depend a lot, especially if you're a Christian, Muslim or whatever, just by definition, a lot of Black people who grew up, in the church or religious circles, we tend to, place a lot of things on our faith. And it's totally understandable why. Because, we've been taught, that you're going to get yours, you got to get yours in heaven and whatnot. And God is directing your steps. We use that because we need something to hold on to when you're getting hit upside the head with all this racism, poverty, uh, discrimination, police brutality, right? So it's understandable, that we lean on our faith to get through this life. And so we tend to think what God has for me, he can't nobody take it away. What he don't have, then it's fine. It can go off. It can leave. And I totally understand that. I totally understand that feeling. But there's another side to that too. I think, well, the way I see it is, that could be one thing, but there's a flip side to that. And the flip side is, that sometimes that attitude can be arrogancy. And sometimes that attitude can be complacency. Now, what is arrogancy? For the sake of this conversation, let's just say arrogancy is I got this shit on lock, right? So I got my woman on lock. I got my man on lock, right? I ain't got to do this. I ain't got to do that. They ain't leaving. They ain't going nowhere. I got them on lock, right? I ain't got to put no work in. I ain't got to, see to their needs and nothing like that. I got shit on lock. Complacency is kind of the same thing, except it's a little more subtle. It's a little more passive. It basically says, that's okay. I know that I should do these things, but I'll do them later. I know that I should take her out to dinner because she's been asking for that. But maybe next week. Maybe the week after that. The next week, maybe next Tuesday, right? I know she didn't want to talk about the bills and stuff, but man, I just don't feel like it right now, right? See, that's apathy. That's, and that's complacency, right? Because you just feel like I don't have to really do anything, nothing's really going to change. We always have tomorrow. We don't have to have sex today. We can always do it tomorrow. It'll always be here. What's the big deal, right? And so the question becomes, where does God's ultimate will, because, we do say, people pray, they say, God, thy will be done on earth as it is in heaven. So where does God's ultimate will versus human choices intersect? Where do they intersect? And I think that's a question, if you're a person of faith, that's a question that all of us have to answer, right? I'm a person of faith, not in the same way as a lot of people in religious circles, but, but like say, for instance, for me, I won't even pray for nothing unless I feel like there's nothing I can do about it, right? That's me, right? But again, people say, what God has for me is mine. Nobody can take it away from it, right? You ever heard people say that? I have. I've never said it myself, but I've heard people say that. Whatever, if he takes it away, or if I don't have it, then fine, no problem. And so what I want to do is, because I'm not bashing on people of faith or anything like that. It's not an either or. I'm just going, but I do, because I came from a Christian tradition and everything, I do want to discuss some things using the Bible, point some things out, because I know that's a lot of people's reference. So that's really the message is, it's for Bible believers, but it's also, it's still a universal message, right? But I believe that, since I don't go to church all the time, and since I'm not, a Christian by definition that way, by a lot of people's definition, then, this message is also for them too. It's for people like me. It's for people who come from the backgrounds that I come from, where I was really a, Bible thumping cat. I was that cat, So, so the first thing I would do is I would go to 1 Corinthians chapter 15, 46, which says, in so many words, you can read it for yourself. I won't read it, I won't read the scripture, but you can read it for yourself. But it talks about first natural, then spiritual, right? So a lot of times people want to spiritualize everything. They want to pray for everything. They want to lay hands on stuff and all of that. But it's like, hey, this is natural. You're in a body, right? You're functioning in a body. You have a brain, right? You got flesh on you, and you're operating in the earth, time, space, dimension, right? Time based on, measurements of the earth going around the sun and all that, revolving, on its axis, et cetera, et cetera. So even the Bible is saying, before you get all super spiritual on me, remember, you got to take care of your shit at home, right? You got shit at home to take care of with your body, right? Whether it's wash your face, brush your teeth, whatever, right? First, natural, then spiritual. You can't be praying that God make your breath smell good, right? You got to brush your teeth. You can't pray that, that you eat this food. Just eat the food, right? You know what I mean? You don't need to pray that God put these clothes on, Jesus. You know what I'm saying? No. Put the clothes on, man. Put a hat on, put a shirt on, whatever, right? These are your choices, and they're there every day, for you to make, right? So, but I want to walk through this thing of what God has for me. So like I say, it's one of the things that people tend to ask for is a job, right? So times are tough. And the unemployment market is real. Finding a job you like is real. Finding a job you're good at can sometimes be, really real. It can really be tough. So, do you ever prayed for a job before? I've prayed for jobs that I interviewed for and that I thought I would really like. And then when I feel like it's out of my hands, there's nothing else I could do, then that's when I pray, to get some favor in that situation, right? But let's say you do. Let's say you pray for a job. Let's say you get a job and you be like, oh yeah, I'm blessed. God bless me with this job. Won't he do it? Blah, 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 right? That's all good. But what happens if you lose that job, right? If you lose that job, are you going to say, well, God didn't have that job for me? That could be true. You know what? It was never meant to me to have that job in the first place. God has something else for me. They say when God shuts one door, he opens another, something like that. When the devil shuts the door, God opens another, whatever. God opens a window, I've heard it all, from my background. But that's one side of the story. But most of the time when you talk to people, you find out there was something else if you look beyond, the details, right? Let's get into the nitty gritty. So, you say that, were you good at your job? Were you insubordinate? Were you incompetent? Were you late all the time? Did you follow directions? Were you insubordinate? Did you steal? Right? These are all things that go into consideration, right? But a lot of people, they don't want to take responsibility for it. They just rather say it wasn't, the Lord didn't have it for me, right? But they take out their own contributions to either keeping a job that they have, or, not getting a promotion that they wanted or what have you, versus, not having it at all. So again, not first natural, then spiritual. And it's really no different from a job that, I would submit to you that it's really no different a job than, you're dealing with a partner, right? So, brothers, what I'm saying? If your lady want to go out to dinner and stuff sometimes, or want to date, want to go to movies, and you never want to do nothing, you don't want to take them nowhere, and they always want to go somewhere, but you don't ever want to go, is that really, if the shit break down, does it really mean that the Lord, didn't want you to have it, or did you just fuck it up, right? Did you just neglect, what was given, or, what you worked for, and what was collaborated upon, right? Sister, same way, stay with the sisters, for a minute. Say if you got a good man, because this conversation I heard was, it was between the sister and, the mother dear, what have you. So like say if you got a good man, because I know, it's a lot of, I'm on social media, so I see shit all the time about what men ain't doing, what they ain't got, what they ain't doing, how they be clowning. A lot of cats do be clowning. So I'm giving you all that. But let's just say if you got a good man. And when I say good, I don't mean perfect, right? I don't mean got all this shit together all the time. I just mean, basic shit, want to be a good partner, kind, considerate, thoughtful, giving, does his best to provide, be a good partner, a good communicator, you know. And when I say provide, I don't mean as if like, you know, like he got to make all the money, because sometimes women make more money. Nowadays, a lot of times that is the case. Most of the time, that's the case in a lot of groupings, and there's nothing wrong with that. You know, the bag is for everybody. You know, if you're a unit, right? So, you know, I'm not, you know, so but I'm so that's what I mean by good. That's what I mean by good. And I can remember like me and my mom was discussing this. We, you know, watching The View and stuff. We both watch The View every day. And we was talking about this not too long ago, how the subject of sex came up, you know, and you know, all the women on the panel, you know, they was all bitching and complaining about their men want to have sex and shit. And it was just fucking me up. You know, Joy Behar was like, I don't wanna, every time I look up, you know, and then Anna Navarro was, oh, just that's all he wants to do. That's all he wants to do is have sex, you know. And then Sonny's like, well, Manny, you know, I have to, and, you know, me and my mom was both like laughing. I was like, Mama, can you believe these chicks up to the art bitching about their men wanting them? Like, that's what I call pussy privilege. That's what I call pussy privilege. It just hit me. I've talked about this before, that, you know, look. Let me back up. Because I don't want to piss y'all women off. I really don't. Because I'm an ally. I'm an ally, and anybody who knows me should know that. So I ain't gonna give you my ally resume or anything like that. But if you know me, if you know my get down, you know I'm an ally. If you don't, then you know, fucking learn, okay? But that's pussy privilege. And let me tell you what pussy privilege is. See, of all the things that women have to go through, obviously this Roe v. Wade shit, you know, all the bullshit, you know what I'm saying? Like, to be a woman today is just any time in history. I don't care where you are in the world. For the most part, it's fucked up, right? So I give you all that, right? Man, 100%. But there are some areas where you got, you know, where you have an advantage. All things being equal, right? We ain't talking about somebody forcing or, you know, rape and everything like that. But just in general, okay, in general, standard situations, you got pussy privilege. And what do I mean by pussy privilege? I mean that you decide as women whether you're going to have sex or not, right? I know women, you know, who go to a bar and they be like, hey, I ain't going home alone tonight, right? Guys may go to a bar and they be like, I hope I don't go home tonight early. I hope I don't go home by myself. But women, oh, they know, right? They know how to look at you. They know how to drop the hint. You know what I'm saying? Look at you just enough to make you see that they're interested, but you know, they want you to feel it's your idea, right? They're the ultimate masterminds. That's a gift. That's a gift. So at the end of the day, shit going down, unless you say it's going down. That's what's called pussy privilege. And when I say pussy, that means that there's a privilege to the point where you just take the shit for granted, right? You never think to yourself, you know, well, hey, this thing is awesome. I need to make sure that I'm taking care of blah, 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 blah. Because to you, what's the big deal, right? I've heard people say, yeah, you know, niggas like to fuck. You know what I'm saying? And it's like, oh. But anyway, I hope you get my point. Women decide. So you got the pussy, you have the privilege. You can decide. And you do it. You've been doing it, right? Some of you use it as a weapon, all that kind of shit, right? So we laughing about it. And we was laughing about the women at The View, you know, all the women that has pussy privilege, which is why they talk the way they talk, you know. And you know, we were sitting there, even my mom was like, yeah, Sonny talking about Manny, what Manny won't do, blah, blah. Manny probably got somebody stretched out across the hospital floor right now. You know what I'm saying? Manny's a doctor, by the way, so that's where it came from. But anyway, so what you need to understand, though, is at the end of the day, you know, humans are, you know, we're sophisticated, you know, we think we're sophisticated, and we are to a degree, right? You know, but at the same time, we're never really totally displaced from our most primal needs and desires, right? we're no different than the animals in that way, right? And some of us think we are, but we're not. So, we may be refined, a little less impulsive, but normally that has to do with, the reason why we don't act all the way out, right? It's because of consequences, right? So you certain things you may not do because you don't want to be embarrassed. Certain things you may not do because you don't want to lose your job. Some things you may not do impulsively because you don't want to go to jail, right? So there's consequences. And when you think about consequences, then that tends to taper your behavior, right? So you think that you're more refined than you are, but you're really not. Because actually, and it's something I learned recently, is that we think that we're thinking people. We think that we're thinking sophisticated people. Really, we're feeling people. We are feeling people who make decisions based on our feelings, whether we like somebody, whether we don't like somebody. Why didn't you go to the store? I didn't feel like it, right? Based on your feelings, that's how we live. But we masked it over like we don't. Like, you know what I'm saying? Like, even with the whole NBA, when James Harden left, he was in his feelings, right? When he quit for Houston, he was in his feelings, right? So we are all that way. None of us can get away from acting, reacting, being affected, being changed inward based on our feelings. None of us are. And I don't know if you didn't know this or not, but like, say, pain centers, right? Pain centers in your brain, right? So when something hits you in the arm or you stub your toe, there's something in your brain that lets you know something's wrong, right? Did you know that the pain centers in your brain is the same ones that hit you when you are emotionally hurt, right? When your feelings get hurt, when you deal with intense sorrow and pain, anguish, it's the same area of the brain. And so, if you think of all the things we've dealt with, mass shootings, gang violence, wars abroad, and if you think even George W. Bush said, well, I'm going after Iraq. I'm going after Saddam because he tried to kill my daddy. Remember that? That was a feeling. It didn't have nothing to do with policy. It was a feeling, right? And then let's go back. You can go back to that 9/11, right? I can't even tell you and I saw this in the documentary, but a whole lot of families who were lost, like say a husband, died in in the towers or something like that. A lot of people who were firemen and policemen, and they had where their spouse died or something like that, a lot of them hooked up with the other people whose spouses died. So you got firemen who, his boy was his fireman next to him, right? He died, and then he hooked up with his wife, right? And it's not because, they just mean people and they don't give a fuck. It's really because you're recognizing the basic human need of connection, a feeling of understanding what it's like to lose a person you love, that, to feel betrayed because it was like nothing you could do about it. And these planes going to a building. I can't even imagine thinking to myself, when has that ever happened that a plane went to a building on purpose to kill my loved one, right? So, they're dealing with things. And based on that, in close proximity, the brother, he started off, he was just bringing money. He was bringing groceries to make sure the kids are all right. They said, they hook it up. They hook it up. A lot of them got married, right? And so that's what I'm saying. So, people on the outside look at, they don't get it, man, but it's totally psychologically plausible. And it makes perfect sense because we are feeling people, right? It's not all logic. And it's really no different than an animal, right? If a couple lions have a mate or what have you, but then one of the mate dies and they get with another lion for protection, this, that, and the other, it's the same shit, right? But so that's what I'm saying. We can't act like we're way more refined than that because we're really not, right? You ever saw the movie Trading Places? You remember when Mortimer and I forget the other guy's name, but when they pulled a switch on Dan Aykroyd, and here he is, super rich. I got the money, I got the power, And Eddie Murphy was the thug, if you will, right? And so they trade places. Then what happens at the end? You know, toward the end, Murphy's the one that's like, I would never, you know what I'm saying? Valentine, that was his name in it. And Aykroyd's character was like, you know, ready to shoot somebody. He was stealing food, right? Because he got brought down to size. So all his status didn't mean nothing when you took all of that away. Well, that's a movie, but it's really real shit. It's really a great study in human nature. So I don't care how rich or how sedated you are. If I put you in there with the wolves, if I put you there in jail, in prison, put you in the jungle somewhere, you know, if you're going to survive, ain't no telling what is going to come out in you. Ain't no telling what, you know, and that's any of us. You know, it's only a fine line, man. It's a thin line between love and hate. It's a thin line between sanity and insanity. I got my shit together. I got a right mind. I don't have my right mind, right? And so, you know, we got to remember that, and you got to take that into account instead of being so arrogant, you know, or complacent as to think, hey, none of this shit can happen to me. You know, again, you know, we all need basics, you know, food, shelter, water, companionship, consideration, caring, understanding. You know, we want to be validated. We want to be celebrated, right? All of us do. And what happens when you don't do that? You know, again, let's go. We talk about natural, then spiritual. So let's go human and then animal, right? You know, a dog is normally, you know, one of the most loyal creatures you can have, right? I mean, if you kicking your dog, you know what I'm saying? Smacking your dog around, you don't feed the dog, you don't clean up after the dog, you don't pay the dog no attention, you don't rub the dog's tummy, right? And then, you know, somebody else come along and then they got the dog, they got a piece of bacon. That was this movie with Jack Nicholson in it, As Good as It Gets. And these cats could never figure out why this, you know, dog was liking my man, Jack. And it was because he had bacon, you know. So he was giving this dog bacon, you know. So again, so if you ain't gonna give the dog no bacon, right? And then somebody else come give the dog bacon. Hey, come here. Oh, you're so cute. Let me rub you. Oh, look at you. Oh, and then you get mad. You be like, hey, that's my dog. That's my dog. What you doing with my dog? All right. It's the same shit. Don't they say men are dogs? Don't they like to say that? Men are dogs. Hey, dogs. That's all they want. They want to fuck. Hey, dogs. Right? Okay, so that's cool. You want to call us dogs? That's fine. Okay. So, but if you kick the dog down the street and then somebody else got your dog, they ain't pretty as you, they ain't sexy as you, they ain't smart as you, right? They can't cook like you. They can't do none of that shit. But hey, come here. Oh. And that dog just sits there. Why? Because a dog, it's not like he's saying, fuck my other owner. He's just really like, damn, you know, this is what I need. I need this to function in my dogship. You know what I'm saying? In my canineness. You know, this is what I need. It's part of my, I'm going to protect the house. I'm going to bark and shit, you know, even if I ain't going to do nothing. I'm going to bark like a motherfucker, you know, when somebody comes to the door, you know, but shit, when I want to run up on your leg and stuff and kiss you, you know, and have a little pet, you know, I need a little pet too, right? Same thing, right? Remember that song? That's Betty Wright, Clean Up Woman. You know what I'm saying? See, and I know the women nowadays, you know what I'm saying? And again, I get it. But you know, shit tends to, you know, evolve around. So, you know, back in the day, you know what I'm saying, we had love songs, heartbreak songs and shit like that. We stay out to this, you know, to a degree. But you know, when Beyonce came out, she was like, to the left, everything you own in the box to the left, right? Everybody, all man, all the women was singing that shit like to the left. You know, ladies like, yeah, nigga, to the left, nigga, right? They was all into that, which is cool. That's cool, right? I ain't against to the left. But see, you can't have to the left and leave out Natalie Cole's I'm catching hell, living here alone. See, some of y'all don't forget all about this shit. Some of y'all don't know nothing about that shit, right? But that shit is just as much gospel as to the left, right? Sometimes, you know, like she said, if I can replay that whole scene again, right? I never would have said our love had to end. You know, I would have eased on back, let confusion pass on by. I chose a fool's way out. Oh yeah, without one good reason why. See, I could have gave our love a chance to grow, but no, I had to challenge it and be heard. Right? It's a side to that too, right? So I'm saying you can call a dog unfaithful, you know, you can and it's the same way with your partner. You can say whatever you want to say to moralize it, but it is what it is. It's, let's move on. This is why I say, people should be honest about whatever it is that they want. They should be allowed to be honest about whatever they want. See, this is where being grown kind of comes in, right? Instead of playing all these games and shit, if you gay, you should just be able to say you gay. You know what I mean? You shouldn't have to be in the closet. You shouldn't be embarrassed to ostracize. We had this whole thing that used to go on, they call it the download. This was back in the 90s. It was just basically black men, stereotype of a black man, acting like he's straight, but he's screwing men and women, and it's like a lot of that, I can blame the individuals, but at the same time, I still blame the church because the church don't allow these people to be who they are and what they are. So, they feel like, hey, man, I want this relationship with God. I don't feel disconnected. I don't feel like God hates me. So, I'm going to go to these churches. These churches telling them, God made Adam and Eve and not Adam and Steve. And so, by default, they kind of end up, in this place of fighting with themselves. But really, they should have just been able to tell the truth about who they were in the first place. And then other people should just respect it. They ain't got to like it, but they should just respect it. Hey, man, I'm glad you told me, right? Same way in these relationships, right? If you just want to fuck, just say you want to fuck, right? Ain't nothing wrong with that. You grown, right? You ain't looking for a serious relationship, right? Or, mutually compatible friendships with possibilities, all that, right? But it's, there's nothing wrong with that, right? Nothing wrong with that. But, at the same time now, but if you don't want to listen, still talking to women, if you don't want to listen, you want to validate your brother's opinion, his point of view, even if it's different from yours, your mouth is discouraging instead of encouraging you. You busting them upside the head with trauma from your past relationships. You ain't sought help for it, right? I know a lot of people, I know a lot of women who really need some therapy, right? Not because something's wrong with them or that it's a negative thing. It's because some shit happened to you. Like real shit has happened to you. Not just in relationships, but in childhood, with your parents and stuff like that, being picked on, and so you got a lot of shit. Everybody's going to have shit, right? Everybody's going to have shit. So if you're seeking a partner or trying to, be successful in your relationship, you're going to have to take on that person's shit, right? But you're there to help them progress and work through the shit, not just to take the shit, right? So a lot of them, you need that help, but a lot of times people just don't want to get it. They don't want to get it because I don't want them in my business. They're a stranger, a lot of times it's just shame, but so what ends up happening is, a lot of times women just use that box, instead of dealing with their shit, they use that box as a weapon, right? This cat told me one time, he said, show me a beautiful woman and I'll show you a man that's tired of fucking her. And just let that sit there right there for a minute. Yeah, same thing for men, you don't want to go nowhere, don't want to do nothing, don't want to listen, you dismiss your woman's idea. It's just ideas and shit like that, her thoughts, it's the same shit. Now you can moralize it if you want to. You can moralize it and say that this person's wrong, right? But if you make a lifestyle, I'm saying if you make, not, I ain't talking about people have bad days and stuff like that, right? That song, it's so good loving somebody when somebody love you back. Teddy Pendergrass sang back in the day, and he was like, not 70-40, not 70-30, not 60-40, talking about a 50-50 love. Well, there's really no such thing as a 50-50 love because 50 is only half anyway. And everybody always gonna be on 100, right? Nobody is. And so, but I'm talking about if you make a lifestyle, I ain't talking about, you fuck up sometimes or you make mistakes like every human being, you have your bad days. I'm talking about if you make a lifestyle out of neglect and you lose your good thing, was that the Lord? You know what I'm saying? There are more than one people, and this thing about cheating, like people always, they want to make that the defining thing. Like, you know what I'm saying? Like they broke their vows, right? They cheated. But there's more than one way to break a vow in a marriage. You know what I'm saying? Like that's the most common one that's talked about. But there are also other ways, many, many other ways. Matter of fact, usually sex is the last way that people break their vows. Usually they break their vows by withholding affection. They're being emotionally unavailable. They're not all in. Some of them are emotionally manipulative, right? And so, the sex is the last day. So that's, if you're not invested emotionally into your shit, then, or if you're neglectful, like, again, savagely, purposely neglectful for long periods of time, that in itself is infidelity. You are more loyal to yourself. Your side piece is your damn self, your alter ego, your personality, your stubbornness. That's your side piece, right? So, but a lot of people, so they moralize what a motherfucker do after the fact, but they don't think about all the shit they did before the fact, and a lot of times people are a little smarter than you think. Sometimes people sabotage their shit because they want you to do it. They neglect you because they want you to go out there and fuck up. Then they can say, well, he fucked up or she fucked up, right? Well, I had to get out of there because she cheated on me. Okay, that's cool. But again, if you neglected the sister all this time and you never, again, you don't validate her, you don't pay her no attention, you don't compliment her, you know what I'm saying? You don't do none of that shit out of habit. Like, just, again, not bad days, not I fucked up sometimes. No, just habitually. This is your lifestyle, right? But some people do that. They'll do that. They sabotage their own shit so that they can say they can have them an out, right? And so these are all, these are all factors you have to deal with. And then you got to understand this too, ladies and gentlemen. There's a certain level of competition out there, right? And this is why your shit ain't on lock. Now, if your shit is on lock per se, it's because you putting in the work that it takes to make the shit on lock, right? You making investments so you can get withdrawals. You're it's like a bank, you putting the money in the bank, you constantly working with the bank, they tend to give you more perks, they tend to give you more shit because they can give you a loan or whatever because they see a pattern, right? Same way in relationships, right? So you see a pattern, and you got some flex to lay back on. You know what I'm saying? Hey, I can have a few bad days, or she can have a few bad days because I built enough equity in this thing to where I don't have to try to be on pins and needles, walking on eggshells every day. I'm free to be me. You know what I'm saying? Without worried about some kind of backlash. I'm really just free to be me. So that, and that's what I'm talking about. But otherwise, man, it's competition. A lot of people, they think this shit on lock, but they don't understand the competition out there. When I say competition, I mean everything. We just had NBA draft. You know why? Because somebody coming to take somebody's job, right? Everything is competition. You want the job, that means somebody else ain't gonna get the job, right? Little things, like I could be out roughing, right? And I could be roughing in the gym, right? And right next to my court is another court. You know I'm trying to do, as well as every other, we trying to beat that other court. We trying to get our game done and sit back and chill before they get their game done, right? Again, in the NBA and NFL, somebody's working to take Steph Curry's job. Now, they can't take it today, but one day somebody will. So competition is always out there. That's why you can't be complacent. Competition is, you're way more competitive than you ever know because you're so used to it. I remember the first time I was ever competitive. I was 4 years old, and I could have been 5. I was 4 or 5, but it was at an Easter egg hunt contest. And I remember going to Jones Park in East St. Louis with the church on a Saturday before Easter. And I remember they was like, "Well, you gonna have Easter egg?" I'm like, "What's the Easter egg hunt?" You take the little carton, take the carton and you go try to find the eggs. They're all hidden. Whoever get the most eggs get a prize. I don't even remember what the fucking prize was, but let me tell you what your boy did. I went out and found 32 motherfucking eggs. I still remember 32. I found 32, right? Uh, 2 dozen of eggs, right? And I remember to this day me just like frantically looking for these eggs, right? Because I wanted to win. And that was the first time I ever felt a competitive spirit, And so, but again, it's the same way with everybody. Same with everybody. Brene Brown talks about how she can swim, and if she swims and somebody's next to her, the lady could be 85 years old. She's gonna be trying to beat her, right? It's in us. So again, and that's not a bad thing. Competition, it keeps you on your toes. It keeps you on your game, right? It keeps you wanting to be excellent at what you're doing, right? Because somebody's on your heels. It's not like you got to be super scared about it or nothing like that. It ain't over the top. It's just, hey, we'll take care of my business because somebody wants your spot. Somebody wants your spot. So, keep that in mind. You keep you from complacency, right? And none of this is on God. It's just universal. It's just universal laws. It's just principles, right? If you out there in the wild, man, hey, they fighting for territory. They fighting for land. They're fighting for mating, right? A lot of times these males got to fight off the other males for mating purposes. You dig? And because it's just built in. So again, humans are not so refined. You're not so intelligent. You're not so sophisticated that you can't be brought down to size. And you ain't so cold that don't nobody want your spot. So again, we talked about natural versus spiritual, right? So I know some people still gonna be like, you know what? It's all right. I still have faith in my God, and that if God want me to have it, I have it. If He don't want me to have it, that ain't on me. That just mean the Lord, His will was, okay. Okay, well, in Job 121, it says, "The Lord giveth, and the Lord taketh away." The Lord giveth, and the Lord taketh away. Blessed be the name of the Lord. So that means that, yeah, the Lord can give you something. He can give you something. He can bless you. And then you could turn around and totally fuck it up. Right? You got to invest in your shit, right? So let's go. This is one scripture I will read. This is Matthew 25:14. It's talking about this brother who had the talents, right? Remember the talents? Had talents, right? And one dude, he buried his talent. Buried his talent. So here's what the master said. He said, "Then you ought to have invested my money with the bankers. And at my coming, I should have received what was my own with interest. So take the talent from him, the one that buried it, and give it to the one who has 10 talents. For everyone who has will be given more. No, I'm sorry. For everyone who has will more be given, and he will have an abundance. But for the one who has not, even what he has will be taken away." That's the Bible. That's the Bible. So what I'm saying is, your own Bible is saying, look. How about this one? Faith without works is, say it with me, 1, 2, 3, together, dead. Faith. Oh, the Lord, Jesus, I'm going to tarry. All that. Faith without works is dead. You don't put no work in. All that faith, all that what the Lord said, what the Lord did, the Lord didn't want me to have. No. First natural, then spiritual. Don't put it on the Lord. Don't put it on the Lord. Take responsibility. Choose wisely and intentionally. Understand stewardship. Stewardship. You know, because this shit is real simple. If I don't go cut my grass, the grass ain't going to get cut. It ain't going to be like, oh, I'm just waiting on a word from the Lord. You see the grass need cutting, right? Or your significant other told you what time it was, but you just didn't want to listen. You ain't want to listen. It's fine. You ain't got to listen. Just don't put it on the Lord. Don't put it on nobody else. So we're going to leave you with that. Hope y'all are blessed. And stay safe out there. Head on the swivel. Watch your 6 and your 9. As my mom would say, plant you now, dig you later. Y'all stay safe. Peace.